Think about anything that only exists for a limited time: a package, an event banner, or all those technical materials engineered to protect cargo and people through demanding work, built to withstand long journeys, harsh weather, whatever the job throws at them. So much energy, so much engineering goes into making those materials, though enough to survive. And then the event ends. The package gets opened, the rain and the hues wear the color off. We treat that as the end of the story. In fact, it isn't. Every material we create in this world stays. It didn't come into upcycling from fashion. I came from business. Over the last 6 years, we've built a company literally on trash. That's what's behind the name, MOOT. Only the real question became, when is trash actually trash? Take football. One of our partners is Germany's National Football Association, the organization behind the national team. Every match, stadium gets dressed in banners, and after the final whistle, most of that comes straight down and gets thrown out. We take some of it and turn it into bags and accessories fans actually want. What I'm proud of isn't the product. It's that a piece of a match someone watched, cheered at, remembers, doesn't just vanish. It becomes something they carry with them, with a history close to their passion. Trash is invisible to most people. By chance or by luck, I ended up founding a company that's figuring out creative ways to absorb large quantities of it and turn it into value without distraction, with genuinity. I'm Michael Pfeifer.
This is Converge, the podcast about the business and art of fashion upcycling. Michael, you wear pieces of MOOT when you are in public. You wear your own creations. What does upcycling has a place in your personal life outside of the company? What is your relationship with clothes specifically and personally?
Um, well, when I speak with old friends from school, actually everyone is laughing about the fact that I ended up founding a company which is somehow related to fashion, because I still consider myself not really a fashionable person. I luckily just ended up having Nils, my co-founder, as one of my best friends, and he was somehow taking over and taking care of me. And now he's taking care of me that I'm wearing something nice every day. And this something nice and this fashionable item is always, of course, an upcycling piece. But still, after all those years, I would not consider myself being a fashion person. Um, what was always important to me is to combine doing good and doing business. And I think there's no better way to actually do that than with upcycling.
Yes, I agree. Actually, the next question is related to that because exactly you started MOOT with your friend and with that vision that business could be a tool for change in society, and a little bit like a contagion from your friend Niels. And now you have been 6 years, you said, working in this field. Um, where where are you with that vision now? Like, what was for you like applying businesses to think about social change? What does it teach you through the years, or what have you learned, or maybe you have encountered things that surprised you? I don't know, some learnings from that applying business into social change.
Well, this is probably one of the hardest things, right? Because when you try to integrate other KPIs than just business related KPIs into your daily work, things get harder because you try to achieve more than just an economically stable business, but you try to achieve social KPIs or economical KPIs. So overall, people who work in an impact related context, I think they are fighting even harder than people who just want to build a company, which is already complicated enough. So what I really learned is that when you have a business model, and this luckily is the case with MOOT and with upcycling in general, where you incorporate these KPIs into your daily work. So the more upcycling we do, the higher our impact is, right? So it becomes really natural to scale the business economically, but by that you also scale the business environmentally. So the more revenue you achieve with upcycling products, also the more material you keep in the loop. So we have really like bond these two KPIs together. And I think this is something which makes a lot of sense in an impact related context. And I think this was probably not the best learning. This is something which would just happened on the way, but it was to me the most, let's say, eye-opening moment when we realized, okay, actually, the larger this company gets, the larger our impact is. So let's really work on that.
Amazing. Yes, I agree with you. It's very difficult to have a own business, and even more to, yeah, to have other objectives, not only the economical one. Sometimes I think that like that, no, like if I only have to concentrate on that, oh, how much less work it will
Mhm.
be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And also a little bit related to that. So in your company, you did some changes at some point. You changed it to from focusing from the direct public to B2B, let's say. And also there was a shift, if I am correct, that you moved from design led to volume led. So that's, is that correct to say? And what does it mean, or what does it mean?
Well, then don't challenge this with my co-founder because he's a fashion designer and I'm a business guy. But I'd agree with you that there is this change from design-led to volume-led. We realized along the way that upcycling for end consumers is very complicated. It's very niche, like very niche. You also end up with challenges which I believe are very hard to solve on an industrial level. What was always motivating me is to really push for societal change, to push for or to achieve an impact and to reach as many people as possible. And we realized along the way, if we stay in this niche, we will not reach as many people as if we go another direction. If we move more into B2B, if we more move into upcycling as a service, that's how we call it. And to us, this was, of course, a hard decision because we started a company, we started a brand. We also still run this brand, um, but our focus is more now on industrial upcycling, on upcycling for our B2B partners. But to me personally, this was never a defeat or something like that because my motivation was always to bring this doing good and this doing business aspect to broader public. And if we now look at the numbers, how many upcycling products we have already solved, like we're speaking about hundreds of thousands products, this I think is actually a great success. And this is something which we would not have achieved if we went or if we sticked to the B2C way.
Great. Okay, that leads me to a question, but that I will ask later on. But let's stay on mind that this idea of failure success, because I'm interested on your point of view. But talking about the volume, and now that you create higher volumes of products, what do you think design become in this new way of working? Like, what is the version of the creativity from MOOT now? Where is it? Because I mean, like when we do upcycling one by one product, there is always this everyday new challenge, new problem to solve. But I guess when you apply that in higher volumes, and this is genuinely from my ignorance because I work in small scale, how does creativity work? I guess you have other challenges and you also put creativity there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just two doors away from me, our design team works, and every day they have to solve different challenges, because we get new material which we have not upcycled yet, because we have challenges to produce a certain product out of a special material. So there are, of course, design challenges that our team has to solve. But for sure, it's a different kind of design challenges that people inside of our team solve compared to, let's say, fashion week design. So what we sometimes need to achieve is upcycling a piece with the least effort possible, because we want to get a product which can be rather cost effective in the production, so that we can sell it on a larger volume to our customers. So that's sometimes a challenge, to build a product as easy as possible, but still as great looking as possible. And this is sometimes a challenge that, of course, especially my co-founder, because he's leading the our product management and also our designers. This is a fight that they have very often, to not only thrive for the best product, but also to thrive for the best selling product. And this is not the one with the most design elements, unfortunately.
Very interesting. So let's go back to what you said before about this change of your customer. You perceive this as a success, um, but you had physical shops
Yes.
in Berlin, and now you don't have them anymore. Of course, you did this change because you wanted to pursue different objectives, but maybe from outside, if you close shops, that can be read as failure. So, what can you say about when you do a change in a company and you decide to leave things behind to start new things? And maybe from the public side, it can be seen as a failure, but you are actually talking about success. So, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think in that regard, it really helps to come from a like business, or also a bit from a startup background. So before I co-founded this company, I was already working at the startup. I was the executive assistant at the startup with a completely different focus. So at that company, we were building software for insurance companies. So we could also speak about public health insurance now, but this would be a rather boring topic. But just what I want to share with you is I really have this startup or this business focus. And if you build something, if you open a shop, if you even open two shops, you spend a lot of energy, a lot of resources, time, money on that. Um, but if things are not working out as planned, then you need to reevaluate if what you are doing is actually working. And we realized that actually every money we spend on our B2B business brings us a much higher return than investing more into physical shops. It's not only about upcycling, but physical jobs in general are having a hard time right now. There are also other economical factors which are not like making it easier for brands, fashion brands, upcycling brands to grow currently. But in a complicated market environment, our company keeps growing every year with actually a high pace. And this only works because we shifted from B2C to B2B. So if I look at the numbers, this is a success. But of course, if I look at the headline, someone closes a shop, eventually this will be misread as a failure, but it's a reevaluation, and in the end, also this business decision helped us to grow the business.
Yeah, great to have a business partner if you're a fashion designer. So, talking about the business, you have a kind of like a, for me, it's an innovation. And I guess in general, when you think about fashion, you think about like the whole process from producing to selling, at least for small brands. But your approach is that the waste generator, the company that create the waste, is also responsible for selling the final product. So you are not the responsible for that. So you think that there is like a kind of like a blueprint that the industry could use, like the upcycling. Let's talk about upcycling, and for brands creating waste. Do you think that this is something that could happen, or that you will recommend?
Definitely, I'd recommend that a lot. Also, maybe this is also a good opportunity to state that actually we would be happy if much more people copy what we are doing, because um, in this regard, I'm not thinking about competition at all, but if there were more people doing upcycling, if there were more people doing B2B upcycling, actually, we had much less to inform and communicate with our partners, because there is so much uncertainty. There's such a, yeah, gap of knowledge of people and how to treat material with upcycling. So we'd be more than happy if other companies or if other upcycling businesses use our business model as a blueprint to also invest into such a field. That's also why we love being loud and why we love being in public, giving speeches, being in podcasts, and sharing this, because to us it's not only about our company, it's really about this societal change that we want to push forward. We want to push upcycling. Upcycling should be seen as secondhand, as a normal business model. It should be seen as completely normal that I'm wearing a bedsheet right now. And this is something that we want to push. We cannot push this on our own as a company, but we need a strong community, a strong network, and therefore, really please, if other upcycling businesses are listening to that, please use this blueprint and also work in that field.
Amazing. Yes. So, but you're talking about multiplying our impact, being more people doing upcycling, more companies with this business model. But I guess you also recognize that there is this contradiction in what we do, because for doing more upcycling, we need waste. And what happens
Yes.
if at some point we are so successful that we manage to not have waste anymore? So, what would be the future for MOOT in that case?
If we ever reach this point, then Angie, I can give this to you as a promise, then we stop our business immediately. But unfortunately, I fear that we will, as a society, never reach that point, because there will always be waste. Someone will consider a certain material as not useful anymore, and then this person labels this material as waste. Um, I don't think that as a society we will ever solve that. But if we reach that point, I promise we will stop immediately.
Amazing. Okay, I take the promise. But what do you think, for instance, about the regulations from especially in the European Union? Do you think that they are going to help avoid waste?
So on the one side, we see that there is an increasing interest in sustainability. So if you look at the statistics, there is a certain amount in the population that is very much interested into sustainability. There are also figures, statistics stating that an upcycling industry will grow over the next years. Actually, it will grow even faster than apparel in general. But on top, we see that regulation is helping, and we see that the European Union is passing one regulation after the other, which is pushing for more circular textile industry. So all should be good, right? But at the same time, we see that fast fashion, that ultra fast fashion is rising, that companies who are producing and selling the cheapest products, externalizing environmental and social costs, and that these companies are growing like crazy.
Mm.
So we have a very split development, and this makes me yeah, still a bit worried about how we can reach people from the other extreme, because we don't need to convince people who are already interested into sustainability. And this is a bubble which is already locked in, so to say. But I think the challenge to convince people to not buy the ultra fast fashion, to buy a product which is fair from a social and environmental point of view, I think unfortunately this challenge is getting harder these days.
Yes, I agree. I was just coincidentally seeing a post on Instagram talking about this, like what will become of upcycling if we only inherit fast fashion in the future. Like if the clothes from my mom and my grandma are from fast fashion, what are we gonna do? And surprisingly, there was a lot of comments. Of course, you know, these bubbles of certain influencer, they have a certain followers. It's always I always take everything like not so seriously, but it surprised me to see there was a lot of comments against upcycling, saying that upcycling is is creating also more consumerism, no? And I'm always interested in this, what you say, like how people that is not in the bubble think and how to reach out to them, and trying to understand how do they think and how do they buy and consume, you know?
I think this is such a stupid discussion. So sorry to be so direct in that sense, but this is, to me, is a prime example of people in the like very sustainability bubble who do not see the overall status quo. Um, of course, sometimes people also point this question to me and ask me, well, Michael, do we actually need more products? There is already enough, so why do we even produce new products by upcycling? Well, of course, we could also just stop what we are doing, but this does not solve any of the challenges that we currently have. By upcycling so much material, we have already reached hundreds of thousand people who are probably right at this moment having a product which was upcycled by MOOT in their hands, and they are speaking with someone about it. They are speaking with someone that this is made out of an old DHL uniform, or that this used to be a bed sheet, or that I don't know, their fanny pack is made out of a worn out leather jacket. So by bringing these products to people, we achieve much more. If we all just went out doing some campaigns and whatsoever work, we will not reach as many people as we did with our upcycling approach. So I think this is a very, let's say, narrowly focused discussion where people really neglect the general status quo in our society. So we try to convince people who have never had any relation to upcycling. Sometimes people buy products from us and they don't even realize that it's upcycled. So you really have to tell them and to educate them. But then they're like, wow, oh, it used to be an old leather jacket. How cool is that?
Yes.
And then they start speaking with friends about it, and then they question it. And with that, you have a much higher impact than if you take all the resources, go on a public square and try to contact people, or if you use that time to write stupid comments on Instagram. Use your time and really try to push for something.
Yeah, I will say that the headline of that is one upcycled product has more power than 1,000 words on Instagram.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so we're coming slowly to the end. Um, so a little bit to wrap it up, what where do you see, like, now we have talked about the people inside the movement, outside the movement. So where do you see this movement heading towards, like sustainability, especially upcycling, and how does MOOT will work in that new ecosystem that it's forming out there somehow?
We as MOOT try is to build an ecosystem, also a database about upcycling. Since we have treated so much material, I think there's actually a lot of knowledge that we have developed over the years. And this is also something which we want to share with a broader community. So not only with our customers, but in fact, we're actually developing a database which will also be made public so that people can really use our experience in upcycling. Um, we want to build infrastructure at MOOT. So we want to push upcycling, the reuse of material forward. And our approach is to integrate as many people as possible. But what we also learned over the years is that you still need to focus on yourself. You should not engage too much into whatsoever bubble discussions, so to say, because by that you will not reach the people who actually should be reached. And so what we try to do is to partner with companies who are not necessarily, and people who are not necessarily related to sustainable fashion. The people working at the German Football Association or DHL or public transport companies who are also lots of our customers, um, they are not inside of this sustainability upcycling fashion bubble. But via these people, we reach much more people from the overall society, and this is what we try to push. And if there is anyone who wants to, yeah, follow and be part of that journey, is always very much welcome to reach out and to join us.
Amazing. For the two closing questions I have, first of all, will be like a recommendation from your side for us. Who do you think that we should invite next to the podcast? Or which topics, maybe? If you don't have a person in mind, maybe a topic.
I think you should invite Doris Schoger, because she has lots of experience in sustainable fashion-related business models. Or Eike Müller from Deutsche Kleiderstiftung, which I can also very much recommend as a guest. So he could speak much more about secondhand, but I think still this would fit very well into this podcast.
Amazing. We're taking notes. And for the last question, if there is something, a situation or something that you want to upcycle in the world, now we get more philosophical. What would you like to upcycle?
Well, it's a very philosophical question. So, and then it's also on me to provide a philosophical answer. Um, what I would like to upcycle is probably negativity. When we started the company, we started with 20 t-shirts made out of bed sheets. Now we are a company which is working with the large corporates, and we are keeping tons of material in the loop. But if we did not start with the 20 t-shirts made out of bed sheets in the very beginning, we would not have been here. And you cannot imagine how much, or probably you can imagine how much critics and how much comments we have received in the very beginning, but still we believe in this idea, and we stayed true to ourselves to work on it. So um, what I would love to hear is that we switch from a culture of but. So as when someone provides an idea, we all say yes, but have you considered da da da, to a more yes and culture, so that we really push ourselves and help others to bring such an idea forward.
Amazing. I think in general, we upcyclers are optimists. And so I agree totally with you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was so interesting. I hope everybody is happy, and I am very happy. I hope you are happy.
Yes, thank you so much for the invite. It was really a pleasure.
So far, we have been speaking in our podcast with creators, brands, and companies. And today we also mentioned it with Michael from MOOT, the issue of regulations. And that's going to be our next topic. So stay tuned for the next episode, because we will talk with Katarina Biloglav, Public Affairs Manager at the Policy Hub. And we're going to focus on regulations that affect specifically the upcycling world and the upcycling industry. And one of the focuses is going to be something very important at the moment, which is the digital product passport known as DPP. So see you on the next episode. Until then, please don't forget to write us your comments with your questions and suggestions. You can find the different channels to reach us on the show notes. Thank you so much for being there.